Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. Hey guys, excited to be with you for another show. Before we jump into things, I do want to kick it off by giving a shout out to our sponsor, the MarTech Conference. It's coming to San Jose, April 3rd through the 5th, and Boston, September 16th through the 18th. And so I just want to invite you guys to join host and program chair Scott Brinker for a diverse agenda that delivers strategic insights into marketing, technology, and management. And so we actually have a special offer for any of our listeners. If you guys register with the promo code BIZPODCAST, that's B-I-Z podcast, all one word, lowercase, you're going to save 15% on that. So, of course, if you need more information on the conference, it's starting to get into the big conference season. Go ahead and look at martechconference.com, just martechconf, martechconf.com. So, and speaking of Martech, we actually have Jenny Marvin with us as our guest today. Welcome, Jenny.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes, and we do have Dave. Dave, how's it going?
I am here with a lot of cats, so I apologize today.
But just so you guys know, Jenny is the editor-in-chief with basically Search Engine Land, Marketing Land, MarTech Today. And so we are really excited to have her on today as our special guest because before the show we were talking about this, and we're about 80 shows deep into this at the time of this recording. And we've never really jumped into Amazon. We might have touched it a little bit saying, hey, you should look into it or whatever, but we've never really done any kind of deep dive into Amazon ads or Amazon SEO, or the basics. And this is something where we feel that a lot of our listeners are wanting information, Jenny. And so we're really excited to have you on and learn about the SEO basics and basics of the Amazon side of it and paid. And so I don't know if there's anything, Dave, you want to chat about before we kick things off with Jenny, but let's do this.
Nope, I don't think so. Yeah, it's just weird that we've talked about Amazon. I think we've mentioned it in the past in passing, like as part of the, it is out there. And Jenny, you probably know a bunch of stats, and I think I was finding some stats yesterday that you've had in recent articles just about the market share that's growing and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's growing in a number of ways. And, certainly, there's kind of two parts of Amazon. There's the third-party marketplace where anyone who qualifies can go on and sell their own wares or buy products and sell them. And then there's the Amazon's own vendor business where it buys inventory from brands and manufacturers and sells it themselves. And so, oftentimes companies will be selling their products on their own through the marketplace and selling product direct to Amazon. So it is it's complex and there's a lot of different parts to it. So it's one of those marketplaces / retail arrangements that can be a lot to wrap your head around.
And so I'm glad that you positioned it that way, because that's going to lead perfect into kind of like, what I think would be most beneficial for our listeners, because a lot of them are, new to this or just trying to figure out, excuse me, a lot of them are just trying to figure out how to crack into just marketing, SEO in general, but they know that Amazon's important. So what would you suggest, Jenny, for these people that are just new to it, that know that they need to be doing something with it? Do they start with the paid side? Do they start with the organic side? Do they do a little bit of mix of both? Or what's a kind of like playbook or a guide that you could get these guys started with, or what you would suggest?
That's a really great question. And I think first and foremost, I would say do your research and be prepared to have a good time investment into
I will second
getting
that
up and
because I've
going.
set up one of those stores. They're insane. So anyway, sorry.
Yes, yes. It's really it is a you are setting up an entirely different marketing channel and selling channel. And if there are a lot of people that are are supporting all the underpinning for the marketing side. So it lends itself naturally to SEO, because optimizing the way that your products are listed on Amazon is incredibly important to getting your products seen, getting your products to qualify for the buy box, which is about how 80 something odd percent of sales are made. That's the that people will know it as the yellow / orange button to add to cart. That is incredibly important. And so SEOs get interested in this. And then also from an ad perspective, there's a whole host of options for what's essentially paid search advertising on Amazon. So paid search marketers who are working with Google and Bing and have been in the market for a long time obviously also see affinities with for marketing on Amazon. And so there's a lot of crossover and a lot of areas where you're going to feel really comfortable if you've done optimization or paid search advertising when you are working on Amazon accounts, but there are also a lot of differences. And, I would say for somebody who's just starting to figure out Amazon, I would first take a step back and look at all the factors that go into being a successful seller on Amazon. And it's everything from the marketing and understanding the ad side and organic. And I will say that more and more, those really need to go hand in hand to really get the visibility on Amazon. Advertising is more and more an integral part of that, and it supports and can underpin what happens with your organic visibility as well. But I would also say that there's things like all of the logistics are going to be so important to how successful you are on Amazon, and that all how fast you can deliver, the kinds of reviews you get, the return rates, all these things that from a marketing perspective you may not have as top of mind are going to be really important to your overall success on the platform.
Yeah, you mentioned one one of the areas that I'd like to dive in a little bit deeper to, on the organic side of it, because one of the things that we've found, and this is true to almost anything that I've done, whether it be help someone with a book, whether it helps someone with an actual product, the organic side of it with the reviews, and one of the things that we found was reviews that are lengthy, okay, not just your one or even 2 sentence review. Hey, this is a great product, I love it. An actual in-depth review. If you can get people to get so passionate about your product, again, I don't know, maybe you could talk on how you get people to give these kind of reviews, but where you're giving this in-depth review, but you're also including images, you're also including video, you're doing this you're going the extra mile, if you will, giving these type of reviews. But I found when you get those, it helps so much. So how do people go about that, or have you seen the same thing?
Yes, I think the reviews piece is really important, and the ideas of getting rich media, videos and images and all that to add depth and authenticity, which is we've talked about this a little bit before the show, that how important reviews are, but that there's rampant problems that Amazon is continues to deal with,
Yes.
and struggle to deal with fake reviews. And I mean, the scams that go on to get reviews are just bonkers. But it does need to be an ongoing focus for sellers, is to getting authentic and not authentic and deep, but also recency is another
Okay, that's
factor.
good.
Yeah, and so it kind of can't be this, one and done effort. You need to
Gotcha.
be thinking about it on a continual basis, not only in terms of visibility, but also for there have been studies that customers look at the recency of reviews, not just on Amazon but elsewhere, as an indicator of trust and uh, authenticity of the products. So there are, there are a number of programs that you can do to kind of reach back out to sellers, and there are third-party applications. I'm trying to think of some of the names. Like I think of Feedback 5 is one, but anyway, there are programs and third-party tech that you can employ to basically set in motion to do those ongoing solicitations of your customers to
Gotcha.
submit reviews. So yeah, I mean that's really a key part of the marketing aspect.
Dave, did you have anything you wanted to add? I saw you pipe in.
Well, I was just going to say that it's everything is review driven now, and it's always about anytime, whether it's, hey, by the way, people that are listening, feel free to go to iTunes and review us.
Yes, yes, yes.
But
Yeah.
iTunes is driven that way. Google local, listings, if you have a
Yes.
2.5 and everyone else is a 4.5 or 5, guess what? You can have all the links you want, but the likelihood that Google's going to put you in that local pack severely decreased.
Yeah.
Books
Yeah.
on Amazon, especially, it's all about the trajectory and how many reviews they get. And one bad review can really hurt someone launching a product or anything on Amazon,
Yeah.
according to some people. But then there's also the people that sometimes one bad review isn't the end of the world if you address it. But if I went to buy something the other day and it didn't have a bad rating, but I started looking at the reviews and it was one after another, all saying the same similar thing. And it clearly was a problem with that product. I was like, oh, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're getting sabotaged by a
It's
competitor.
possible.
But yeah, you never know.
And
No.
it's not,
Yeah.
and it's not just on Amazon. If you see similar trends across the board, and it can be negative, a negative
Right.
campaign,
Yeah.
but it was a $4 product. So
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone was doing that.
Yeah.
But if it was a $1,500 or $500 product in a very tough space, I don't how many people look at reviews with that eye, or if they just look at and compare the overall score. I can't tell you what the normal person does.
Right. Well, and another thing on Amazon are there's the option to ask the seller questions about the products, and so the seller or manufacturer can respond to those questions about the products, and that's a whole other way of adding content to your product descriptions, but also to make sure that if you're getting certain questions asked, to take a look at your product description for your product page, and if you're getting those questions, are they not being adequately addressed in the bullets that you're using for your products? And
I'm
yeah.
glad that you mentioned that, because I can't tell you how many times I've made a decision to finally go ahead and purchase that product based on the responses that the owners have given for questions that have been asked. And so it's huge. And I think, it shows that, hey, they are paying attention. They do care about this product. If I have an issue with it, they're going to answer my question. But you also started to mention something that I think is huge, that I think everybody listening should pay close attention to, as far as like paying attention to what people are asking about with your products. Because number one, like you said, it can help you do a better job of describing that, but it also gives you many opportunities to do better with your content. And again, I'm talking even just besides Amazon, just what you're doing in general. It can give you so many higher level ideas of what kind of content to create. And as the editor-in-chief of whatever, you probably love that.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree. I mean, if you want to start thinking even broader, I mean, certainly there's optimizing your content, but starting to look at some of the other questions that other sellers are getting and how they're answering them, and are those is that information fodder for building out content? And you're right, Matt. I mean, doesn't necessarily have to relate to how you're optimizing your content on Amazon. It can be how can you turn this into better, richer site content on your own site, or could it be incorporated in an email campaign, on social, paid search campaigns, driving back into Amazon, things like that. So there's really rich opportunities to take that and kind of run with that for content development.
Excellent.
Question for you both, actually, because Matt, you said you've done a little bit of Amazon SEO type stuff, not the paid, right? Mm-hmm. So as I was doing some research the last couple of days, it's for the SEO side, it almost is like a quality score more than what an SEO person would think about, where there's these ranking like 200 or 300 or 150 or 5,000 ranking factors, because it's really about the sales performance.
Yeah. Yes. So there's certainly, just fundamental discoverability piece of it, but kind of what we were talking about in the very beginning is that there's really needs to be a holistic approach to Amazon, and it goes beyond just making sure that the content on the page is clear and optimized and easy to read, and that you have great images and multiple images and things like that. But yes, your sell through, your shipping, all of those logistics, and reviews like we talked about, all of those other logistics that you may not normally ever even think about if you are focusing on optimizing for a website. How quickly a package gets shipped out of the warehouse, and is there tracking information properly sent along to the customer with that, and how quick is delivery and free shipping, and all of those factors often we don't have to think about. And with Amazon it's different. Bad ratings on deliverability and shipping are
Well, speaking
really
of that,
harmful.
do either of you guys even buy anything that's not Prime? I very rarely do buy anything that's not like Prime.
I have started to do so more now that Prime is worth a whole lot less from the shipping standpoint.
That's very true. You're, when they say 2 days, I almost think it's like 2 days from when they decide it's the 2 days. It could be like a week after, they decide to ship it, and then they're 2 days. No, anyway, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if there was anything else on that side of it that you wanted to mention before we move on to something else.
No, I think that's it. I don't know if you wanted to talk about the advertising.
Let's do
side
it.
of some things.
Go for it. Jump into that for us, Jenny.
Okay. Well, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of attention being paid to Amazon advertising now, and so it's eMarketer estimated that it's now the third biggest ad seller in the U.S. behind Google and Facebook.
So what you're saying is we can't ignore it.
You cannot ignore it. But I do always like to put a little bit of a hype
Caveat.
hype
Asterisk.
caveat on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, it's about 4% market share.
Okay.
So it's growing quickly. It's the last couple of the last few quarters. They've reported like triple digit growth in the line item that they report advertising sales under, which is still called other. So that kind of gives you some perspective on where that business is in the grand scheme of Amazon. But they're on target. I assume they'll pass the 10 billion mark this year
Wow.
for advertising. So it is definitely growing, and one of the things that's a big part of why it's moving forward so rapidly is because the investments being made in the infrastructure and technology are ramping up rapidly. So a few years ago, advertising on Amazon was clunky, slow. It felt like it was literally just getting started. And
Yeah.
so to go from what was then AdWords to Amazon was like going back in time. So it's not up to the level of more mature platforms like Google and Bing for sure, but it's getting there really quickly. So there are a number of different ways to advertise, and I'm just going to kind of focus on the search advertising on the platform itself for sellers. There are other options, but there are three main kind of search ad products, and they're sponsored brands. Which, if you search for a product, you'll often see this kind of like banner at the top of the search results, and these are ads that you can use to feature, yes, three or more products. Usually kind of a category of products. Then those are called sponsored brands, and those are at the top of the search results. Also, they can be in the left-hand rail on desktop. They've added more inventory for those ads. They're also on mobile as well. And then there's sponsored product ads, and these are these single product ads you'll often see. And there are more and more and more of these. And they can be targeted in any number of ways, from keywords, category, brand, and the kind of the product ID, which is called an ASIN. And then there are product display ads that also support video. And those are also been kind of rolling out and more available. So those are the three big ones.
Okay, excellent. So, I think it's good to have everybody kind of go over it and understand what's available to them. There was one thing that I did want to, because we're kind of getting close to the end of the show here, and I did want to ask you this one, just for some of the smaller brands and the smaller sellers out there to be able to, they have options now to showcase their products and what they're selling. Amazon launched storefronts in September, and so I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that. And is that a good channel that people should be looking at? These smaller brands and sellers and whatnot.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the storefronts are designed really for the small business sellers, and there are already a whole lot of sellers in that have storefronts. So yes, I would absolutely recommend, if you are a small seller just getting started, I would definitely check out the storefronts.
Because it's just one more of those things that those that are doing it versus those that are not doing it. It's like what we've preached with just in general with SEO or local SEO, or the local people that understand, hey, get on these channels, put yourself on Yelp, put yourself on these directories. It's just one more vantage point that they have over those that just don't have a clue and aren't doing this the right way. Is that the best way to look at it?
Yeah, and I would say, again, it's really, I would say, don't go into Amazon lightly. Really be prepared to
Good advice.
invest time, establish a network of other sellers or people who are working in this space to help you and run ideas by. It's another area where building up a kind of network of feedback is really important, I think, as well.
Excellent. Very good.
Yeah, I don't think people can just export their Google AdWords account and move it over to Bing like you can with Bing.
Right.
This
Yes.
is. I mean, if someone's ever set
Yeah.
something up on Etsy or eBay, this is probably another level to that.
Yes.
You're almost
That's a
creating your own
good
website,
point.
your own everything, and
Yes.
and I think one of the other topics I wanted to get to, and I know we're running out of time, was there seems to be a lot of get-rich coaches and schemes out there. So if you are thinking you're over, this is a whole lot to take on, that maybe you already have a business on Etsy, maybe you have a website, and like the one person that reached out to me recently, they already have a website, they already started selling some stuff on Amazon, they're not quite sure what to do. There are probably some legitimate people out there that can help you, consultants and whatnot, and we actually know some. But there's also a lot of, I want to say like more of the get rich,
Yes.
invest with us $4,000 or invest with us and whatever and take this class and we're going to make you tons of money overnight.
Yes.
Anytime something, we've talked about it before about scams, anytime someone's like, oh, I can get you 500 links, or we can get you on page 1 of Google tomorrow, or
Anytime
anything,
it seems too
whether
good
it,
to be
yeah,
true.
whatever it is that seems too good to be true, do some due
Yeah.
diligence, learn yourself. You might have to spend some time, but just try to avoid those scams.
Yeah, and I would also say, as the ad business grows, and both from ads and from an optimization standpoint, there are a lot of agencies that are growing their practices in this area, and there are some amazing agencies that are doing phenomenal work. But as with any of these kind of growing, emerging spaces, there are also going to be opportunists who try to take shortcuts. And so when you're thinking about working with a consultant or an agency, just really, think deeply about the vetting and making sure that this is a partner that you're going to work well with and is going to be working in your best interest.
Excellent. And if you ever have any questions about that, you can always reach out to myself, Dave, or even Jenny. And speaking of that, where can people find you at, Jenny? You want to share that with everyone?
Yeah, so you can find me on Search Engine Land, Marketing Land, or MarTech Today, but I am pretty much always on Twitter, Ginny Marvin. It's that easy, Ginny, and I'm also on LinkedIn, but usually Twitter's the fastest
to
place
go.
to
That's
find
what we
me.
tell everyone too.
Yes.
Like Twitter,
Yes.
we're always there. So
Yes.
well, excellent. I do appreciate you taking the time with us today and chatting with us about Amazon. I know that this has been beneficial for all our listeners, and so thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, for Dave Rohr and Jenny Marvin, I'm Matt Siltala, and we are looking forward to chatting with you guys again, having you join us in another one of these episodes. I just want to give everybody just a quick reminder about the MarTech conference. It's coming to San Jose April 3rd through the 5th, and Boston September 16th through the 18th. And so make sure you go to martechconf.com. Check it out. If you guys want to save 15% by attending, just type in Biz Podcast, all one word, just BIZ Podcast, all one word, and it's going to save you 15% on that conference. And so, again, thank you, everybody, and we will catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.
Thanks.